When I first started working at my current job, I struggled. When it came to managing projects, I would always find myself having tunnel vision. This meant I would get so confused on finishing one project or a task that I often found myself falling behind or completely forgetting about another task or project. But how do you know which project to work on first? Do you start on that blog post that needs to be up by a certain time this week? Or do you handle creating that page for one of your clients' websites? Wait, don't you have that meeting today? You need to prepare that presentation, don't you? Here is how I arrange my priority list so that I can effectively manage multiple projects. Also, these clips aren't in real time and are mere representations of my day. If I tried filming this while I was working, it would actually get in the way of me getting the things I need done. So, full disclaimer, okay? I'm only sharing what has worked for me. Everyone operates differently, I feel. So, what may work for me may not actually work for you. But you know what? You never know unless you try. So let's get right into it. Step number 1, get in the right mindset. I can't tell you how many times I didn't do a morning routine and night routine and clocked out of work feeling like I got absolutely nothing done. I think it's very important to start your day off well. I feel like once you do that, it seems like the rest of your day tends to play out seamlessly after that. I think it is imperative to have a good night routine and a good morning routine. If you're like me and you're a total night owl, I have a video I actually have a video where I go over how I was finally able to set a routine for myself both at night and in the morning and make it so that I am able to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning religiously every day. So if you're interested in that video and seeing how I was able to do that, feel free to look in the description. I should share a link down below and hopefully that helps. Also, there's this amazing company on Spotify. That's where I found them, called Tracks to Relax. I often use that when I have trouble sleeping at night. And sometimes they have morning meditations, which are really good. I'll go ahead and send y'all a link to them too, because not only do they offer that as a service on Spotify, I think they're on other platforms, and they actually have a website where you can actually buy tracks off of them as well. Do yourself a favor and give back to yourself. Because I don't know about y'all, but about 3 o'clock, I'm brain dead, okay? But I found that by doing this, the chances, at least, of me becoming brain dead by 3 or 4 o'clock are far less likely. Do you guys like my shirt? See, it's a Kiki's delivery service. It's so cute, isn't it? If anyone could translate what it says on the shirt here, I would greatly appreciate it, because I have absolutely no idea what it says. It almost frustrates me a little because I've always kind of wanted to learn the Japanese language. Maybe I could put that on a bucket list of things that I could do. So step number 2 is to grab a pen and a notebook or a piece of paper. Yes, I am a paper girl. I'm a planner girl. And I love me some planners, guys. I've got all kinds of notebooks stored away. I really should do something about that. Looking up here at the viewfinder. I'm never looking at you guys. This is something I gotta get used to, okay? But now that we have pen and paper, I'm gonna go ahead and walk you guys through the process that I take in order to fully arrange my priority list for the day and how it helps me to effectively manage projects, multiple projects. So usually what I like to do is when I've had a very busy day and let's say I'm in the middle of working on projects and I'm suddenly hit with a request or a task that needs to be done, but it's not urgent, I tend to move that task quickly to my calendar and put it for the next day. That way I don't forget about it, and then first thing in the morning when I'm ready to put together my new priority list for the day, it's something that I can add to my list. And the very first thing I go through is my calendar. What all have I listed from on my calendar from the previous day? It's very easy to forget about something or a request. It's very important to just take maybe a second of your time away from the project that you're currently working on and quickly putting that little tidbit into the calendar. So after I check my calendar, the next thing I check is my communication messenger that I use with my workmates. After that, I'll check my emails. Those are usually the next thing I check, is to see what emails I've received from clients or, coworkers. Finally, what I like to do is also check my to-do list from the day before, because sometimes things are so hectic that I just don't even have time to put stuff in the calendar. So I'm actually going to be creating fictional clients for this demonstration. So just note, all of these people that I'm mentioning right now are not real. These tasks are not real. But just to give a real world context, I feel like would be helpful. So let's say I worked today and I went through my calendar. I've checked all of my messages on my communication platform with my workmates, and I've also checked all my emails, and this is the list that I ultimately come up with. The first client is I Am Jane. I Am Jane is a company that sells skincare products to women, and we actually post up a blog for them every week on a Tuesday. And Tuesday just happened to be today. So that needs to be done today. Okay? And then I like to put a little underline here, and I'll tell you why I do this in a minute. The next thing on my list is to reach out to a woman named Farron. Okay, she has an e-commerce website that sells clothing, and the website is set to launch in about 4 weeks, but we need the last bit of pictures from her for her products. So I need to actually reach out to Farron and let her know about these pictures, and also follow up with her with an email letting her know that I called and left a voicemail in case I'm not able to get in touch with her. So now I have my list. Reach outs always come first to me. What is a reach out? Well, to me, a reach out is a phone call, an email. These will usually always take priority. I always believe that it's important to go ahead and get your phone calls and emails knocked out for the day early in the morning. That way you're not in the middle of working on a project and then you forget to reach out to someone. I cannot tell you how many times in the past when I first started working at my company where I would make this mistake over and over again and put reach outs here. Okay, and so if we look at our list, we have, I believe, 3 reach outs. One is Farron. I need to call her and see about the pictures. Then I need to send a follow-up email to her letting her know that I called and left a voicemail about those pictures and that we're waiting on that. Then there's also Jose. I need to send him an email. I need to let him know that we will look into this for him and that I need to get with my team and see what it would take to add the calculator to his website, if that's going to require adding a plugin, or is it going to require a bit of code like PHP or some CSS and HTML. I need to get with the team and see what it would take to add that to his site, and then get back with him with a time frame and also what the cost would be. Then we also have finally Samantha, me calling her and kind of getting together and letting her know how she can go about creating her Google My Business profile, how she can add us on as a manager, and then also how we can go ahead and move forward with getting that verified, what the process will be for that. So I'm gonna put Farron, Jose, and Samantha. Okay, now it's time to go ahead and see which of these do I reach out to first. This is when I start to pretty much categorize my tasks based off of 3 things. The first one is it client centered, or is it something more company centered? What I mean by that is this task done for a client? Is it related to getting something done for a client, or is it something more related towards getting something done for the company? If you work for an agency, you'll understand where I'm coming from. But if you work more in-house, then I would say, is this centered towards the product, or is it centered towards the team? Is it product centered, or is it team centered? The second thing that I go by is how urgent is it? If it's something that needs to be urgently done, like immediately, or like today or yesterday, then usually that helps me to sort of differentiate which tasks to do first. Finally, I go by how quickly I can get it done. So if I can get something done in 2 minutes, then I'm better off just going ahead and getting it done right now. So that's usually the 3 that I go through, and I'm just gonna go ahead and show you how I go about the process, because I know you guys are thinking like, okay, well, what happens if I have 2 things that are urgent? What if they're both urgent? What if they're both client focused or both product focused? I get it. Let me show you. Now, as I mentioned before, I always start out by 3 categories, and that's 1, is it client focused? So I'm writing that down. Client focused, or is it directed more at the company? Is it for the client or for the company is how I see it. And if you work in an in-house, then is it for the team or is it for the product? So this is client focused. Is it client focused? The next thing is how urgent is it? What's the level of urgency here? And then finally, how soon can I get it done? Now, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have 2 tasks and they kind of meet all of these requirements at the same time, I'm going to go into how to go about doing that as well later on in the video, okay? But for now, these are the main 3 you are going to be focusing on, okay? So as we can see here, client focused, they are all client focused, okay? Next, we have the urgency. Which is more urgent? So we have Farron. Her website is about to launch in about 4 weeks. It would be imperative that we get those pictures as soon as possible, because you know time flies very quickly. We also have Jose, which once again we specified didn't really seem like he was urgent. He just wanted to see what it would take to get this done. And then we finally have Samantha, who wants to get this done as soon as possible. So I would say Samantha would come first. Since she wants this done as soon as possible, I would go ahead and call her and reach out to her and see if we can't go over the Google My Business and all that other stuff real quickly with her. And then once I do that, the second person I would tackle based off of this is that, well, for one, Farron and Jose, once again, they're both client focused. The level of urgency I feel is more with Farron, and all I need to do is give her a call, hopefully get in touch with her and let her know that we need those pictures. And if I can't get in touch with her, then I can go ahead and send her the email, the follow-up email. So I would say that she would come second. And then finally get in touch with Jose and let him know that, you know, we'll look into seeing what would all go into getting this done. And already I have a set idea on what to do starting out with my reach outs. I'm gonna call Samantha first. I'm gonna call Farron and then shoot her an email. If I can't get in touch with her, then I'm also going to shoot Jose a follow-up email after that. Now, I don't consider the team meeting to be a reach out because usually that's already in your schedule for the day. You know what time you're supposed to meet up with these people. You just need to work accordingly around it. So I usually just don't really include this on the list, but I don't include it in my numbered list. It's still listed. That way I know that it's done and I can highlight it with my highlighter later. So we're left with with a few more tasks. We have the I Am Jane, which is the blog. Then we also have the Albert J. Middle School, the online enrollment form. And then we have the report that needs to be prepared for Chris. That will be in 3 days. So we have the blog that's due today. We have the online form that needs to be done as soon as possible. And then we have the report that's due in 3 days. So once again, all 3 of these are client focused, but now we need to look at the level of urgency. The report is done in 3 days. This needs to be done as soon as possible, and this needs to be done today. I would say that the Albert J. Middle School and I Am Jane have a higher level of urgency than the report. Again, I'm not saying don't work on the report. I'm just saying that the sooner we can get these other 2 knocked out, the sooner we can get to work on the actual report. So what I do next is I look at whether or not which one I can get done the quickest out of these 2. So it looks like the blog, I think this honestly depends on how quickly you can work. If you feel like a blog would be streamlined process and you can get that done in less than 2 minutes, then do the blog first by all means. Or if the online form is easy to update and it's easy to change who the submissions go to, then do that next. But let's say these 2 are both very quick for me. So they're both client focused, they're both urgent, have the same level of urgency at least, and I can get them both done in less than 2 minutes. If that is the case, then one thing that I always ask myself is the level of importance. What do I mean by that? I ask myself, if I don't do this task right now, will it jeopardize the business? Will it jeopardize the integrity of the business? So I look at this and I go, well, if the blog doesn't go up at right now, like at this very minute, will it hurt the company? And I tell myself, well, no, it won't. Well, what about Albert J. Middle School with the online form? If I don't do this right now, will it hurt the company? Well, and hurt the school in this case? Well, actually, yeah, it could. Because this is an online form. It's exposed to the public. And the parents are always on this website. It gets a good amount of traffic. The parents can fill out the form and not see the updated year. And therefore, the school misses an opportunity to garner new students. So I would say that this would have a higher level of importance than I Am Jane. So then I'm going to go ahead and put this next on my to-do list. Okay, then after that, it will be I Am Jane. And then finally, I would do the report. All right, and that is how I organize things. And what you can do after this, I don't do this because I just think the numbers alone are helpful. But if you need to take another piece of paper and just realign these in order of importance to help you visually, you can. I don't do that, but you can. And as I go through each of the projects, I take my highlighter and I just highlight through it like that. I finished that for today. I had my team meeting for today. Finished. Feels so good when I highlight. It feels so good. Don't y'all love that sound? Okay, so as I'm working on each task, I tend to use a technique called the Pomodoro technique. There's a really cool app called pomofocus.io. I oftentimes use this particular website to help me sort of get in the zone. The Pomodoro technique is basically, why did I just turn Australian? But the technique is basically when you have 25 minutes, you spend 25 minutes on a task, and then you have 5-minute breaks in between. And you may have one 15-minute break. But it's a very great technique, and surprisingly enough, despite it having these little minimal 5-minute breaks, it actually helps build your productivity. In fact, I'm gonna make a whole video on the Pomodoro technique and how it really helped me get extremely productive at work. Like, no joke, it's like I did a complete 180 overnight because of the Pomodoro technique. But you spend 25 minutes on each task. And then after that, there'll be a 5-minute break. I often take the time out to check my emails, see if anyone else has reached out to me, if there's any new requests. I take this time out to see if anything urgent has popped up. And sometimes that can happen. Sometimes more urgent projects or requests suddenly pop up out of nowhere. And so I would advise taking the time out to sit back and once again rearrange your priority list. Take a deep breath too. Take a deep breath and just rearrange your list and try to make it work for you for the day. Another thing I do is I try to like stand up, and stretch. If I don't see anything and no one's reached out to me, I take that time out to just do a quick stretch, move my legs, maybe walk a little bit in circles, do something, move. Because I feel like we working at a job where we're sitting like hours upon hours on our butts in a chair, and it's a very sedentary job. For whatever reason, I don't get finished with a task for the day. If it's not urgent or super urgent, then I will add it to my calendar to work on the next day. That way, when I wake up in the morning and I look at the calendar and I see it there listed, then I know that it's the first thing I need to put on my to-do list and that it has a much higher level of urgency now. Well, I hope this video was extremely helpful to you guys. Feel free to share any tips or advice you have down below, because I'm all about knowledge. I'm all about improving. So if y'all have any better ways that you guys go about arranging your priority list for the day, how you manage all of your projects, feel free to share that in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm about to go and grab myself something to eat because I am hungry. All right, bye.